and welcome to OECS Interacts, part of the OECS link. I am Louise Victor. With me today is Mr. Keith Johnson, the Managing Director of Republic Bank, Grenada. Mr. Johnson, we are very pleased to have you and welcome.
Thank you very much, and I'm pleased myself to be on your show, the OECS Interacts.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, with the effects of COVID-19, we have seen a rapid increase in the use of digital and contactless payments. So please explain to our audience, what is digital contactless payments?
Right. So first, let me say I'm very happy to hear you say that we're seeing a rapid increase in the use of digital channels for making payments. That is a very good sign. Digital payment is one where there is no use of paper, no paper cash, no checks, and more importantly, there is less human interaction in conducting the transaction. Basically, digital payment is one where you utilize the digital technology or information technology to execute your payments. Most of that is done through payment companies, digital payment companies, and it's executed using mostly a smart device or a computer. Could be a desktop, could be a laptop, could be a tablet, but most people use their phones, which is excellent. And actually, it lends to the name mobile payment because you're actually using your mobile phone to make the payment.
And what would you say are some of the key benefits of using digital and contactless payment methods, especially now that we are advised to practice social distancing as much as we can?
Right. So, in a sense, as bad as it has been, the COVID pandemic has been a sort of blessing in disguise. Because for years, financial institutions have been encouraging their customers to utilize more and more of the digital payment systems that are available. But I guess people are forever reluctant to change and they get comfortable using the old ways. But even before the pandemic, there are so many benefits to using the digital technology to access your funds and to make payments. For one, you can do it without having to go physically to the bank. You can sit in your office, as I'm sitting now. You can be at home. You can be out of the country. You can be on the beach. You can be anywhere. Once you have a device, and in most cases it's a mobile phone, and you have access to the internet, you can access your account. So it allows you to make the payments without being physically present, and it saves you a lot of time. Because, for example, imagine you have to leave your office and go to the bank. Depending on traffic, that could be 1 hour, half an hour each way. Then you get to the bank and you have to join a line. And again, depending on the time of day or time of the month, you can end up spending anywhere between 15 and 50 minutes, right? All that really is precious time that is being wasted. So for one, you save a lot of time. Two, you do it at your convenience and leisure. And three, in most cases, the digital form of payment is actually cheaper. For example, if you go to the ATM to get cash, and ATM probably is not the best example, but you go to the ATM to get cash, right? Most banks will charge you, a small fee, right? But if you go into the bank, it's a much larger fee for doing a transaction that you could have done outside of the bank, either at the ATM or at a supermarket where you can make the payment using your card and a debit point of sale machine, or actually using the internet banking, online banking, where you can just sit and you can pay whomever you want. You can pay your utilities, you can pay family members, you can pay other bills. So it's really the convenience, the time saving, and the cost. Those are the main benefits.
Okay, now I know this is a little off script, but given that we tend to have a culture of having cash in hand in the Caribbean, do you foresee an accelerated cultural shift in terms of the use of money vis-a-vis the use of digital payments, or do you think that generally people will still be a bit reluctant to utilize those types of methods?
I think the reluctance will always be there, but people are being forced now to get to the program because of the need for social distancing. And even there were times in the past 4 months when banks and other businesses under the whole country had been on lockdown and there was no movement of people. So people still had to access funds, they still had to make payments, they still had to buy goods, buy pharmaceuticals. And a lot of them had to revert or to get on board the train that says, okay, use the digital means to make your payments, access your funds. To pay utility bills, a lot of people were accustomed to going and join a long line on the mountains, and whether it's the electricity company or the telephone company. Now, in order to make sure your bills are paid, you had to do it digitally. So I think COVID-19 has, I think regrettably, forced people to do what they should have been doing, years ago, if not decades ago. With the social distancing too, sometimes people have to be lining up outside of the premises, whether it's the utility company or the bank, and they're exposed to the elements, the sun, the rain at times, and all those things are unnecessary inconveniences, which could have been avoided had the persons utilized the digital technology that is available. So I think, yes, there would still be resistance, but people will more and more, maybe reluctantly, get on board accessing those systems.
Now, while there are the trends of increased digital payment uses, therein brings the question of cybersecurity. Can you speak to Republic's work in that regard as well?
Okay, so we have always taken security, whether it is physical or cyber, very seriously. And all our systems are very robust enough to protect us and our customers from any intrusion, any invasion. And I have to say, I'm very pleased to say we have never had any incident where something like that has happened. And we continue to make sure our systems are strong enough to resist any sort of attempts. No, we are very sure that the attempts, in fact, we have monitoring systems that show us that people have been attempting, but they cannot penetrate. So I think our customers can rest assured. And I think you were touching on a point there which some people use as the excuse or the reason for not getting on board the digital system, because they're afraid, somebody might hack the bank system and get access to their funds and withdraw the funds. And then, there'd be problems there in terms of how do I get back my funds. So I'm very pleased to say our systems are strong enough. And, getting back to the whole issue of, wanting the cash in your pocket or in your wallet. Yes, I understand that, right? And yes, people are becoming more and more sensitized to the need to move away from that and to be a little more comfortable that their funds are well protected. In the old days when each account had a bank book attached to it, persons were able to see all the transactions they did on their account and they can see what their balance is, right? Now, the digital systems are such that all those bits of information are available, right? At a click of a button, you can see all the transactions you've done over, a period of time, not from the time the account is open, but you have access to those things that you can download and store for your own purposes if you want to make historical checks and so on. So the same information that you would have got from a bank book, it is there on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, whatever. And it's
Mr.
secure.
Johnson, well, that is certainly very reassuring. But just before we wrap up, in summary, what would you say are some of the key messages that you would like the listening and viewing audience to take away from this interaction?
Well, first, digital is the future, but in another 10 years, digital might be the past. And we might move on to some other system that supersedes that. But that is the way the world has progressed. When you think back to 150 years ago, when the first, in a sense, digital system was introduced, which was payment by telegraphic transfer. And then about 100 years later, there was an improvement on that when the SWIFT was introduced. And so you can make payments wirelessly. And that has now progressed onto the digital age. And, I think there will always be some resistance to the older generations. So 10 years from now, people like me might be a little reluctant to get on board whatever is going to come. And I know something is going to come, right? It might even be less than 10 years, the way the rate of change has evolved. But I would like to encourage people to move away from, the old ways of doing things, because eventually those ways will just not be available anymore. If you check history and the evolution of the world, a lot of things that were there 100 years ago, they're just not there now. You ask a kid about a telephone, which was there maybe, an analog telephone, which was there, say, maybe up to 30 years ago, 20 years ago. They don't know about those things because they're just not there anymore. So they become relics. And the systems that we have been using up to, say, maybe 20 years ago, those are fast becoming relics. So we have to get to the program. So I encourage people to don't wait to be forced to do it. Don't wait for another crisis like the COVID pandemic, right? Just get on board. They will eventually come to realize how much benefits they reap from it, right? It's less costly, it's less time consuming, and they can do it at their leisure and pleasure from anywhere. So that is my message, right?
Well, Mr. Keith Johnson, thank you so much for interacting with us and for letting us know all that Republic is doing from the digital payment side of things, cybersecurity as well on that front. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you for having me on your program.
Thank you so much for interacting with us, Mr. Keith Johnson. I am Louise Victor. Thanks for watching, and let's link up next time.
Welcome to another edition of OECS Explores with me, Kareem Stanley. This week it's all about the weather. Let's see how our islands fared during Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Hurricane season is no joke. Take precautions, have a plan, do not be caught unprepared. It's even more critical now that we are operating in a COVID-19 environment. Your life and the life of your loved ones are very important. I think it's timely that we speak about Grenada and the assistance they have received from our partner, Republic Bank, during this pandemic.
Republic Bank Grenada Limited is extending assistance in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. In April 2020, Republic Financial Holdings Limited pledged to donate $2 million across all territories in which Republic Bank operates as part of its support in the fight against COVID-19. Republic Bank contributed $200,000 to the OECS Commission's regional efforts to rebuild businesses, communities, and lives, of which Grenada contributed $70,000. Republic Bank Grenada's local and regional contribution to the global pandemic response totaled $120,000. In response to the national relief efforts, on May 15, 2020, the bank donated vital medical equipment and supplies to the Ministry of Health, valued at $40,000. General Manager Credit at Republic Bank, Kalawati Bikram Singh, made the presentation of medical supplies to Minister of Health, the Honorable Nicholas Steele.
What Republic Bank gave us was basically some of the ancillaries for testing, test kits, in short, falls under the description of test kits and the various bits and pieces that allow us to do the PCR test, which is the gold standard for COVID-19. Based on Republic Bank's contribution, that allows us to do 850 more tests. So they have given us bullets in our arsenal then. And that was greatly appreciated, because with the widespread testing that we're able to do, we were able to build a confidence that we can isolate any potential case, that we can identify any potential case, and that we can also verify when individuals are not COVID-19 positive.
Has COVID-19 made you discover or rediscover skills that could be the source of a side business to earn more income? Or have you realized your existing skills are insufficient now that you need to multitask? Whether you need certification or upskilling, now is the time for self-development to tap into more opportunities. So apply for that course. Your educational dreams are just a step away when you partner with Republic Bank. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
I know I have been talking about the sustainable development movement, and you're probably wondering, what have I been talking about? It's an opportunity that should not be missed. To give you a little taste of what to expect, make sure you tune into the pre-SDM Fireside Chat with the powerhouses. As usual, we love hearing from you. Tell us what's happening in your country and your community. Email your pictures and videos to media@oecs.int or post on your social media with the hashtag OECSUnion. Who knows, you could be featured in our next episode. I am Kareem Stanley. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to OECS Insights. I am Alika Frederick, Miss OECS 2019. Job loss is a painful, life-altering event that sometimes leaves you stranded without a plan for recovery. It can threaten your future if you do not know how to cope with it or what you should be doing to ensure you safeguard yourself and your loved ones. Here are some tips to keep you on track. Let us start with taking stock. Here, you assess your current situation. Here are some questions to ask. Is this a one-time setback or an ongoing? In other words, are your financial challenges related specifically to COVID-19 and job loss, or does it have to do with issues that were happening long before this pandemic? Maybe you have been spending too much money. Maybe you have been wasting a lot of food, electricity, and water. Maybe you have not been properly managing your business or personal affairs, and that is the main reason why you are suffering now. How long do you think the effects of COVID-19 would last based on the official public health advisories? When the country starts to recover, does it mean you will also be able to get back on your feet almost immediately? Or will you have a long period between recovery and financial security? Check what is happening in the specific industry in which you work. Depending on whether you work in tourism versus manufacturing, in food and beverage versus transportation, your ability to be employed and or earn revenue will be different. Know exactly how much money you will need to take you through and assess how much you have. Sit down and work out how much you need to survive for a week, a month, 6 months, etc. What are your priorities? There is something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Perhaps start with what you do need to survive. Food, shelter, and clothing includes not just your rent or mortgage, but utilities, especially water and electricity. Cable television and internet are not as important unless they are resources you use to earn money. Then you go to things like clothing and household items and maintenance. Perhaps you need to hold off on buying new clothes for a while. What can be repaired instead of replaced? Household maintenance. Maybe look at cleaning products that are more multi-purpose and can be used for many different applications. Maybe it means cutting the grass outside yourself. Things that are about leisure and recreation, you may need to reduce your spend on, if not cut out altogether. Look at free ways to entertain yourself and your family. Gathering your available resources. This is very important. Are you using all the resources and sources of aid available to you? Do you know about and have applied for the various government relief packages? Do you know of the tax breaks and incentives there are now because of COVID-19? Depending on the industry in which you work, there may be programs available for resiliency and recovery that can help you and your business. It is a sad fact, but many citizens do not avail themselves of government assistance either because of lack of awareness, pride, or wrongly assessing the actual needs and believing they do not need the aid, when in fact they do. There may be opportunities to renegotiate certain loan payments. Use them. Often you have automatic payment plans to various accounts from Netflix to software programs to credit cards. You should consider canceling automatic payments and carefully select what is most important. Many companies are offering various avenues to reduce the strain on customers, so check with your bank. Speak to what Republic Bank is doing specifically about this for their customers. Make a plan or budget. Now is the time to do so, even if you have never done so before. The information from the first 3 steps is what you will be using for this plan. In addition to this, you need a strategy to rebuild your savings. Are you currently utilizing the best savings plan available? Check again. Speak to what Republic Bank is doing regarding savings and attractive interest rates for growth. I am Malika Frederick. Thanks for watching. Ça c'est OECS Palais et moi c'est Elika Frederick. Mot créole nou pour simen ça là c'est apprécier. In English, this translates to appreciate. Apprécier c'est ti bagay la en la vie. Appreciate the little things in life. Bon, simen passé nou tan an chay pale asou Gonzalo, an se lisi nou ka kouye sa en mauvais temps. Jodi a, c'est ça nous ka causer en le. Moi vle inviter ces gens nous en OECS là pour causer un ti miette en le ça. Moi vle sav sak passé et qui manière yo préparer pour cyclone ça là en pays. Bienvenue tout le monde et n'a invité Ryan pour parler avant en le ça qui fait anti commune.
Eh ben, cyclone là venu et puis l'eau la pluie venté bien fort, plus fort dans certaines communes là. Eh ben, en général, ces préparations n'ont pas changé en l'eau. Alors, il y a des communautés qui ont coupé ces branches pieds bois, ils étaient qu'à ranger tête caille et ils couvert ces fenêtres là. Ils étaient qu'à plein seau ou bien bucket et puis de l'eau pour si en cas te mancher de l'eau pour boire plus tard ou bien après passage cyclone là. Moun te acheté bouteille de gaz et qui fait anti-commission. Mais là nous ka parler de saison cyclonique là, l'année ça là et puis pandémie mondiale COVID-19 là, il y a des bagages qui différents l'année ça là. Et vers ces protocoles COVID-19 là, tout le monde qui a parlé cyclone dans un hurricane shelter, il est pour porter un masque, il est pour porter bagages essentiels par exemple, il est pour porter manger en boîte et puis bouteille de l'eau pour durer de 3 à 5 jours. Bagages pour dormir, médicaments et même tous premiers secours, hand sanitizer, etc. Même si tu mis ça dans le shelter là. Mais en fait, il a fait tout ça pour empêcher transmission COVID-19 là. En plus de ça, tout le monde qui a shelter, tini pour enregistrer non yo et qui a servi thermomètre qui a prend température moun au loin ou bien à distance. Alors, c'est comme ça bagay là qu'a passé. Mais là nous qu'a parlé du cyclone Gonzalo. Nous t'étini la pluie venté mais ça pas été trop fort mon dit Alors, c'est ça.
Ah, merci Ryan pour ça. Emilia, ça ou ça dit nous qui fait à Dominique ko ka westi. Ça ou te ouais, ça qui fait qui manière ti mauvais temps passé.
Avait cyclone Gonzalo, moi qui comme ça c'était le premier système là qui était affecté n'importe pays à sous est Caraïbes là pour saison cyclone dans ça là. Avait nous en Dominique nous sommes au courant avec le développement système là enfin autorité qui a venu à sous radio depuis le système là a commencé à développer un court temps pour arriver en cyclone il était toujours à sous radio qui a informé nous quand comment le système là a progressé nous en Dominique là venu pour ça fait cyclone moi qui dit que nous avons pile précaution puis nous avons expérimenté en pile mauvais cyclone esprit dernièrement en 2017 nous teni Maria avec toute la terre ça Maria fait Dominique quand ça là nous tant à développement un système en la mer Atlantique là nous savons nous toujours mettre qu'on nous bien bandé nous a fait toute préparation avec ma croix qui nous en Dominique c'est que ça qui fait et puis Maria fait encore comme ça nous toujours là mais nous préparer mais nous toujours ni pour écouter sa autorité qui a dit les un système qui a développé quand il a avancé qui c'est qui fait comme ça avec Gonzalo en pile monde t'es qu'à garder ça qu'a fait nous t'es qu'à tant qui peut que affecter nous directement quand était affecté Saint-Lucie et Grenade mais nous t'es là avec t'es tant parole moun ka dit ben qui la moun t'es qu'à précaution malgré le système là t'es loin nous mais moun t'es qu'à précaution avec autorité mon ka dit c'est toujours là faire certains qui nous donne information tous les jours les bons matins les après-midi les soirs puis encore nous ça qui fait avec Maria avec nous pratiquer les pas mêler qui c'est un petit système ça nous qui un tropical wave même si c'est en cool temps ça nous qui un tropical storm même en cyclone catégorie 1 nous en Dominique pratiquer les pièces bagages ça là affecter nous en presque qualité manière que ça nous toujours préparer avec nous faire ça qui est nécessaire pour protéger nous Dominique avec la vie avec tout ça nous.
Puis, je voulais dire, après passage cyclone Ivan en l'année 2004, qui frappait nous à la Grenade, je voulais dire, tout le monde à la Grenade, nous pas qu'à faire la fête et puis ces cyclones-là.
Ah, merci Ryan pour ça. Milia, merci en chai pour ça. Et Stéphane, ça ou ça dit nous qui fait?
Eh bien, mes amis, incident, pas ni tellement pression, pas ni tellement stress. Mon a commencé à préparer tranquillement. Moi-même, j'ai commencé à faire 3 cases en moins pour voir l'état à 3 là, l'état à tout bitin 3 cases en moins. Nous savons qu'on cyclone peut toujours arriver. Ça gouvernement l'a fait, les services de l'État, ils ont nettoyé tout chemin, tout bois chemin, ils ont coupé branches, ils ont coupé arbres pour par rapport à avant là, les vents là qui arrivaient. Pequeni trop branches à terre là mais ça nous peut dire c'est que cyclone là pour l'instant a pas bien qu'à faire mon paix on va penser que bientôt nous allons commencer à voir les premiers cyclones qui arriver nous allons préparer mais pour l'instant ça plutôt tranquille.
Eh bien merci Stéphane pour ça. Ça moi ça dit qui arrive nous en cette ici c'est rien nous tenons soleil nous tenons la pluie aussi mais pas rien grave pour parler about pas rien mauvais pas fait so nous savons merci bonté pour ça et ou ça va être ça plus mauvais so moi voulais dire tout le monde merci pour ti causer à Rodia merci pour dire tout le monde qui a veillé ça qui fait et puis manière yo préparer pour ti mauvais temps et ti un bel ti causer et merci pour venir ici à Rodia et moi non moi c'est Elika Frederick et merci pour veiller.